Okay, welcome back to The Final Prize is Soup. Today we have a double feature. We're going to catch up on the scenes of Yanxu's route, of Mimi's route, and we're also going to catch up on all the bad endings we did not get our first run. So, hang tight. We'll be jumping back and forth as we find new content on the way through, and I hope you enjoy. So the obvious point here, first and foremost, we're going to help Yanxu. Here, give it to me. I can help her charge her phone a little bit. Yanxu hesitated, but passed the crank to me. I started turning the handle at twice the speed she was. Still, it would take time to charge the phone. Barely a % increase in battery showed after cranking for 5 minutes. So, why do you bother with this? She looked up from her phone. Huh? Going to these lengths to keep a phone alive? We don't even have reception. A small smile graces her lips, reminding me of the time we were together. Yet it was sadder than I remembered it to be. Was she not doing well? If she wasn't, then There's a lot of important things in this phone, so I don't want it to die. Raised an eyebrow at her answer, unable to formulate words as the sound of the hand crank filled the silence between us. She still had that small, sad but contented smile on her face, but was directed at her phone. I see. I didn't understand at all. What could be so good about a hunk of plastic and silicone? We sat in awkward silence, the sound of the rotating handle, the only thing that filled the air and made it bearable. Otherwise I might have run my mouth on an unfortunate topic like the weather. It was probably for the better that I had nothing to say. You're so strong, Hailu. Huh? Yanxu pressed her lips to a line, then looked away. Nothing. I just thought you're really brave, being in this situation and all. You too. I almost said, but bit back the words at the last minute. Wouldn't do to spoil her again now that she was finally being a bit independent. Oh. Another 10 minutes of cranking passed in silence. I think the phone should be charged enough now. I stopped turning the hand crank and handed both items back to her, Yanxu putting them away wordlessly. It was time to get moving. We walked in silence again. There wasn't much to talk about, and most of our energy was spent keeping our ears and eyes out for monsters. So not much there, but a hint of where their relationship was when it ended. Curious. Okay, I presume there's a way to die here, so we're gonna try running. It was useless. How could I fight against monsters? I turned and tried to follow Yanxu. Tried, because a sharp pain shot up my leg as one of the monster's claws cut in the back of my calf. I stumbled and crashed into the ground. Just in time, I held the pipe up to stop the monster's claws from tearing into my neck. Ugh! I kicked the monster off me and stood up, putting some distance between me and the monsters. Looks like running isn't an option. Okay, so we have to stay and fight. Barely caught my breath when one of the monsters leapt at me again. Time to run, I raised the pipe in an attempt to shield myself, but okay, we can skip. Well, run it! Broke my stance and turned to run. Ah! And crashed onto the ground, the pain in my leg flaring up at the worst moment. Ah! Is that my screen cutting through the air? Stop! Don't pull my arm, it doesn't twist! Ah! My arm was pulled harshly out of its socket, the flesh not remaining unmarred for much longer. I screamed as I continued to pull at my arm until I heard the splitting of skin from sheer force. Warm blood rained down on me as I watched the monster gnaw on my disconnected arm. I was still staring at the scene in disbelief when pain, red-hot pain from my legs, from my stomach, instead of a jaw full of sharp teeth. No, stop. Help me. Someone, help. Bad end 1 unlocked. Dun 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 dun. Let's see what happens if we try and fight and then change our mind and outrun it. Because first time we try and run, our leg gets hurt. We try to outrun it. Then, because of our leg was already hurt, we trip and fall and die. I broke my stance and turned to run, but I changed my mind too late. Monster's claws reached my leg and slashed into my calf. Ah! I crashed to the ground, but caught myself before I hit the grass. Immediately tried to crawl away, but... My leg was still trapped within the monster's hand. It clawed toward me, and I raised my pipe to bash it across the head. Get off me! It worked. The monster released me. To protect its own head in a whine and swiped at the pipe. In an unlucky hit, the pipe broke in two. It was too short to be a weapon now. Oh no. Now is this? Okay, so that's... Yanxu will still come and save us then. Curious. Ooh, Hailu, you're bleeding. Oh, yeah, it got me. The tool of running away from a predator really did amazing things to the human body. The cut only felt like a soft sting of a paper cut in the night air. Yanxu immediately rummaged through the backpack for the first aid kit and wordlessly patched me up. Oh. See if something changes this time. Now this is different. With my injury and Yanxu's inexperience in rock climbing, it took longer to climb down the cliff than expected. Oh! Oh, I didn't go ahead long enough. Even the other survivors who were cheering us on had stopped by the time we set foot on the ground. Hailu, go ahead. I'll be right behind you. She nodded and walked ahead of me. At distance, I could see the finish line, a line of red paint on the dirt between us and the crowd of survivors. At Yanxu's approach, several of the other players turned their attention back to us, cheering us on to pass the finish line. We're not going to make it in time, are we? Because of our injured leg. Yanxu stepped 1 foot over the red line. I was just a couple meters behind. Our other foot passed through the red line, just 1 step away. A bell tolled through the night air, and Eleventh's voice reverberated from the clouds once more. The first trial is now over. Congratulations to the players who have made it to the finish line. The air froze. Somewhere deep in my soul, I knew that it was over. Hailu! Yanxu screamed as she reached toward me, her hand stopping short at an invisible wall. If I had one regret, then it would be that I made her make such an expression. If I were allowed to have many regrets, then they would be that I would made her make many such expressions. At least you acknowledge that you went wrong in the relationship too. We still don't have much details about that, but the self-awareness is always appreciated. I slowly touched the invisible wall, feeling the barrier between her and me. I pressed my hands against hers, separated by a layer of air. Behind me, I heard the inhumane growl of monsters. My breath was caught in my throat. My lungs struggled to keep working as I trembled. No matter how I accepted it, dying really was scary. Hailu! Hailu! She pounded on the wall and I stuck a peek behind me. Time's up! Terror flowed through me in waves. My blood felt cold in my arms. Numerous red dots filled the space behind me, a sea of pitch-black holes drilled into just as dark faces. Their scales shimmered red in the moonlight, mixing with the splotches of blood that coated their hands and teeth. My teeth chattered as my legs felt weak. I fell to the ground against the invisible wall, Yanxu following as I trailed down. Yanxu. I hadn't thought it would end up this way. As the hands and teeth of monsters reached me, I wanted to tell Yanxu to close her eyes and look away, to survive and forget me. This really was terrible. I'm sorry. And there's bad end too. Okay, that's a clever twist of fate. I like that. Dun 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 dun. So I suppose now to the point we win the first trial, and then we can actually go into Yanxu's room. Let's see here. Let's not celebrate yet. Do you still have your phone? Of course. Oh, light it up, light it up. Yanxu took the phone from her pocket and turned it on, the bright blue glow illuminating a multitude of footholds on the cliff face. Ah! This doesn't look bad at all. Even Yanxu nodded optimistically. Made it down the cliff fairly quickly with just the glow of Yanxu's phone screen. Yay, we did it. Sorry, we're gonna go find Yanxu this time. Wasn't sure how to change the subject, so I placed my hand on the doorknob, but before I twisted it open, I turned back to 11. Sorry, I just want to check on Yanxu first. But I was greeted by blank space where she once stood. Oh. She must have other contestants to check up on. I tried to bury the sudden pang of hurt. Ooh. Very pink. Opened the door to a familiar room. Cute to the brim, a clash against the more rustic look of the rest of my apartment. The room was decorated with more stuffed toys than I had owned in my entire life. But I didn't mind because every time I got her a new one, she would smile brighter than the moon during mid-autumn. This room fit her so well, I would always make space in my life for Mimi. Until I didn't. The differences became too much when the pink seemed too frail and suffocated in this small space. It was the right thing to do to tell the pink to go elsewhere, to grow into its own space instead. Yet I missed the pink and the way it filled this space perfectly after she left. It was better than the bare walls and empty silence. Yanxu was sitting in the middle of the room on the rug, her back against the bed and Mr. Meows in her arms. Mr. Meows! Behind her, an open can of beer on the rug, misted by her knee. Lulu! And the beer spilled all over the rug. Oh no! She hurried to pick the can up to stop the onslaught of fizzy liquid from staining the carpet, but the can slipped from her and from her hand again and landed within the soggy mess. Hold on, let me get some napkins. Gathered paper towels from the kitchen to absorb the liquid, then got some soap to wash out the sticky residue. Even in this dream death space, we still gotta be responsible with our apartment. I think we'll have to throw the whole thing in the washing machine. I think it's hand wash only. What a high maintenance rug. How bad could you damage a rug? I drifted to the can that was now placed on solid ground beside the rug. That brand tasted like shit. It's cheap and gets the job done. Was Yanxu always this good at reading me? Until your rug gets thirsty. Besides, you make more than enough to treat yourself to some better drinks. It's pointless without someone to drink it with. Was it selfish of me to feel relieved at those words? I didn't want to dwell on it. I'm surprised you're dead. You're always the cautious type. I stopped scrubbing the rug for a brief moment. Perhaps not the best evidence for my words. Cautious enough to make mistakes. Death isn't just a simple mistake. If I hadn't been with her, would she still be alive? I always did do everything for her. Made me feel good. Needed. Be relied on like that. Like I was the shining star that supported her whole life. Some codependency issues here. It was too much. It didn't matter how much I liked her. It didn't matter how much that hit of dopamine gave me. It was not good for us. I had other issues. I couldn't let her rely on me the whole time. I couldn't be there doing all of her things for her when I still had my own baggage to unpack. And she wound up dead because of it. Oof. Giving me whole new issues to unpack. Unfortunately. It's objectively the right thing to realize that this is a problem and back away from that. To work on yourself and whatnot. Like, maybe there was a way we could have done that while communicating properly and saying that, hey, once I work on myself, maybe we try again. But fingers squeezed the paper towels. Conflict boiled in my heart. But these things are never easy, so... There is no perfect answer. And there is no fault in... So there is no fault in your answer having inadvertent consequences of its own. Conflict boiled in my heart. I didn't want to think about it. How's your new apartment? Huh? Oh, it's closer to my workplace, and there are a lot of restaurants nearby. See, she's doing just fine, I told myself. Great. And, once we finish these games and go back to our lives, you won't go hungry as long as you can practice ordering food by yourself. I regretted my words the moment they slipped past my tongue. Didn't mean to make them so bitter, so accusing. I mean, next time we eat together, I'll order. It'll be my treat. Oh. I bit back my skepticism. Yanxu always struggled to get a word out for what she wanted to eat. If I could make an armchair assumption here, based on what we've seen of Yanxu from Yuen's route, or from the common route so far. It's been some time since Yanxu and Hailu split. And in that time, Yanxu has honestly improved somewhat. She's still nervous, introverted, quiet, but has a certain strength about her that really that has really shined through in this experience. Whether it was ordering over the phone or eating out, she would timidly point out the exact dish she wanted, push the menu to me when the waitress came by. All right. Even if it was an empty promise, at least she was trying. I threw the last paper towel in the trash. For liminal space made for our comfort, it sure took effort to get the beer out of the rug. I think that's the best we'll be able to clean it. Thank you. The sound of a bell rang before I could turn to reply to her. Found myself in an endless black void again. Let's go. Alright, let's go investigate with Yanxu. Still, 2 pairs of eyes would be better than 1. Shall we keep investigating together? I held my hand out to Yanxu, but she hesitated. Yeah, I'd be happy to. She took my hand. Oh! Continued exploring the mansion, checking the corners of the hallways, entering rooms here and there. For each new location, Yanxu took a number of photos, stating that it would be easier to zoom into details and review locations with her phone. Smart. Zigzagging around the halls, we eventually exited the mansion through a side door in the southeast section. We reached an outdoor garden. Interesting. We make it to the garden at this point. Did she find this garden on her original loop when we ditched her to go flirt with 11? But the garden was a pretty pond with lotus flowers floating on the water's surface. The garden, too, was filled with greenery and blossoms. For all that the mansion was disconcerting, I could only call this garden pretty. So there's a place like this here, too. We walked around the garden for an initial look, peeking at the plants and soil. I spotted a bit of orchids and approached it, squatting in front of a section of white orchids. Turning my head to Yanxu, who seemed confused, I couldn't help but smile. This flower suits you. Beside the white orchids were a section of pink ones as well. I think they suit you more. Yanxu walked up to the flower bed and leaned down to pick a single orchid blossom. She made a gesture offering it up to me, so I tilted my head instinctively. Thus she tucked it above my ear, which tickled my girlish heart. Perhaps I made a strange expression. Orchids are perennials, so as long as they're correctly planted, you only have to plant them once, and they'll come back every few years for decades. One blossom won't kill it. Although if we're dead, then certainly they should also be dead. Too bad. They really are pretty. I stood back up, and the 2 of us finished surveying the garden's general appearance. No hints of the key could be found from the light overview. A light breeze blew by. The weather was fine today. Let's split the garden and search through the flower beds? I looked toward Yanxu. Whenever I should have specified how we were splitting the task, but it seemed I didn't need to. I'll take the right side? Sure. We split. Heading to our respective sides, I squatted down by the flower beds and parted them, checking through the dirt and crevices hidden by their leaves and petals. A good while passed, and as I lifted my hand to wipe some sweat that was cooled by the breeze, I noticed something. Before I realized it, that little flower in my hair had already been blown away. Ah! A little disappointed, I returned to my task. Despite the length of tedious labor, I found nothing. I wondered if I had to uproot the flowers, but not only did it seem extreme, I didn't have the tools for digging. Finished, I stood back up. My knees made a little cracking noise from my back that felt sore than it should have. We joined Yanxu, who had also finished. Any luck? No. She shook her head and I let out a sigh. What does this key even look like? You'll know when you see it? Unfortunately, it seems that we haven't seen it just yet. Maybe the key is a lie. Maybe that at the very least that they were kind enough to give us a couple of days before executing us. Are you giving up? Yanxu looked at me. No, not this time. I'm gonna give up just yet when I've been so lucky as to meet you again after death. Let's pass all 3 rounds. Yeah. Let's go back inside? Just one more thing. Step! Ah. She retrieved her phone from her pocket and quickly went around the garden to snap photos from every angle. Yanxu looked lonely, holding that phone so carefully. Wonder how long she had that phone case, that kitty phone strap. Couldn't quite remember when she had bought it. Perhaps it was as far back as college. She finished up her photos in no time. Then we returned inside the mansion. Hello. For whatever reason, our timing coincided with that of many maidservants milling about the hallways connected to the side door in the southeast quadrant. Yanxu and I moved to the side of the hallway to avoid them while walking, falling into a single-file line of 2. I felt Yanxu tug on the edge of my jacket, and I turned around to face her. Can we share a room tonight? I don't feel safe sleeping here alone. I shot a quick glance at the maids, feeling the hairs on my arms begin to stand. Of course. Let's go to my room together before curfew. For a moment I thought about the past, a room we shared and a room we didn't. Once upon a time she was a girl who I loved, a girl who loved me. Right now we were no more than friends by my own will. I held her hand and hurried away for the servants. Nice to find the key soon. Dinner? I walked into my assigned room, turning on the light before Yanxu followed me in. She glanced around the room and let out a hum of contemplation. The layout of my assigned room looks the exact same. So all the guest rooms look the same? Maybe. After freshening up in the attached washroom, the 2 of us sat on the only bed in the room. And there was one bed. I plopped down on my back, enjoying the soft bounce of the mattress. I put my arms behind my head and let my legs dangle off the edge of the bed. I looked toward her for the odd low angle as she retrieved her phone hand crank and began to charge her phone. She really was slow. I sat up, thinking that I'd do it for her instead, since I could crank it at least 2 times faster. Then I froze. Was it really better for me to do it? It was also because I always did this that we fell apart. Back when we were still dating, I'd always been trying to take over whatever Yanxu had been doing, whether out of impatience or arrogance. She didn't blame me, but I had blamed her for letting... Ooh. I'm happy. Her soft voice broke me out of my thoughts. Why? I'm happy that despite our breakup, we can still sit around like this and spend time together. We were originally friends before we dated. That we were. Have I known you for almost half my life now? It makes me feel old when you say that. Hee. I still remember being a student like it was just yesterday. Although I don't particularly want to go back and relive those days. Thinking about something? Nothing in particular. Though there was that one time you studied all day, every day, weeks on end, just despite our class's top-ranking student. My dark history. The gallant class topper, Hailu. For the term, that is. Class topper. Says number 2. Grandma was always proud, but also worried. She made me promise not to overdo it in the future. I personally found it a little charming. Do you secretly like nerdy people? Not about that, but that you were working hard for your goal. That the usual first-place student really was an insecure jerk. I don't even remember what she said to me that time, but I do remember you snapping at her. Next thing I knew, you'd thrown yourself at studying. Is that so? I vaguely remembered that I hated the guts of our class's first-place student. A wave of nostalgia ran over me as we chatted about our high school days. We were already quite close during high school. Both decent students, we ended up attending the same college as well. One with a high-ranking biology program located near our hometown. It really did seem like we'd known each other for a long time. Do you remember our military training at the start of college? Like every Chinese first-year undergrad, we participated in mandatory 2-week-long military drills at the start of our college life after a relaxing end to high school. Don't remind me of that. Her hand crank slowed. There's too much sun. Whoever decided that all college students have to exercise under the summer sun should be purged. Well, I think not wearing sunscreen also contributed to the sunburn. Bleh, sunscreen. Like I said back then, I'm never setting foot in the sun again if I don't have to. As a working adult, you don't have to go out in the sun like that anymore, but you still need a little light, be healthy? My vitamin supplements are covering it. Don't laugh. You also bought me a bottle of gummy vitamins and a sun umbrella, so you're contributing to it. Sorry. Think I might actually have a picture from around then. Yanxu stopped cranking and instead turned the phone screen on, opening up her photo gallery app and scrolling through a myriad of pictures. Peeked over her shoulder to see many nostalgic moments recorded in her gallery. Finally, she stopped on a picture and clicked on it. The picture expanded, showing a photo of her looking rather crispy, and me slathering globs of white sunscreen onto her face. This was probably around 3/4 of the way through military training when she finally agreed to use sunscreen. Who took this photo? Bai Mudier. She sent it to me as a part of her commemorative album. That was the name of a college classmate. What a nostalgic name. I haven't talked with Bai Mudier for a while. Next thing we know, we're going to be meeting up with her for an alumni anniversary event, and she'll be dragging along a child with her girlfriend. Where's that come from someone who is aging? Oh god, what a relatable conversation. Where's the time gone? Oh god, we're getting older. Ow, oof, bone hurty. Yanxu resumed charging her phone with a hand crank, and we chatted a little while longer. I makes me wonder how exactly how old these two are. If I had to venture a guess, I'd say late 20s. Night deepened. Let out a yawn and stretched my arms. She finished with her phone charger and put it away in her pocket, shaking her wrist. Then, catching my yawn, she yawned as well. Let's go to bed now? Yanxu groggily nodded. Did we dodge the bad ending here? I slipped off the bed to turn off the light. Good night. Good night. Tucked into bed, taking 1/2 each. Couldn't help but notice that both of us kept a space between each other. I closed my eyes, feeling a day's exhaustion run over my body, and... Oh, here it is. Knock, knock. Someone was at the door. Intending to get out of bed and answer, I shifted. Don't. Don't open the door. Sure? Knock, 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 knock! A chill ran down my spine, propping myself up from my side with my elbow. I gazed toward the door that was still closed and locked from the inside. Whoever was knocking at the door had no intention of opening the door. However, the knocking continued for much longer than any sane human would knock for. The party beyond the door never saying a word. Knock. Finally, the knocking stopped. I breathed in a sharp breath of air and glanced back at Yanxu, who was also now looking at the door. Click! I heard the muffled sound of the survivor next door opening their door. Then the woman screamed! And stopped screaming with a squelch, which I shouldn't have been able to hear through the wall. Yanxu grabbed onto my shirt, making me flinch, and buried her face into my back. Yanxu was trembling. From the other room came more sounds, crunching, cracking, splattering. It made my stomach turn with nausea, and my vision began to undulate in the darkness. I breathed in and out, focusing on Yanxu. It's okay. It's not in our room. It's okay. We're safe. The words were both for her and for myself. Eventually, the sounds from the other room stopped. We waited in trepidation. I think the door was probably... Footsteps passed, and no more sounds, no more knocking came. I watched the door for a little while longer, letting Yanxu hold on to me, until we concluded that we were safe for now. At long last, I closed my eyes and slept. And daylight came in an instant. Okay, so bad in 3 dodged. Bad in 3 when we're sleeping alone. We have the option to open the door, and if we open the door, we die and get served up to Yanxu. See the previous video with my full 11 round playthrough to catch that bad ending. This makes me wonder if we can fail to solve the mystery. Time? For example, the time in which the key would reveal itself. That seemed terribly unfair. Anyone ever said that the trial would be fair? The previous game 11 had used the old-fashioned way of saying time with animals. Therefore, the dragon and the snake could certainly have been the same. I'm trying to think of what time those animals referred to. The voice in my head spoke. The hour of the dragon and the hour of the snake referred to the period between 7 and 11 a.m. If that were the case, then we had only one more chance. My thoughts ended. Shake, shake, shake. We have the obvious answer here. The martial essential altar is Neza. What if we can't just answer that? Is this just a, I don't know? Central altar. Could it be a location hidden somewhere in the mansion? I don't think I've seen any altars. If there are any trap doors like from earlier today, located near the center of the mansion, then maybe we just missed it. Maybe. But you're right, I don't think I've seen any altars either. After mulling over the riddle for a while longer, the two of us tucked in for bed. Night passed. And because we didn't identify Neza and Lotus hint, despite everything, we were able to find the key in time, even as the sky began to change colors. The low bell tolled. Its ringing vibrated through my bones, and the ground shifted below me. The scenery around me changed to a banquet hall that I had never seen before. As I opened my mouth to ask what was going on, I suddenly fell to my knees in pain. My throat was parched. My body was hot. I felt as if I was burning, my skin beginning to peel, my flesh beginning to melt. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. My lungs were filled with ash. My vision began to flicker. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. I was burning alive. It hurt. With limited senses covered with pain, I heard a servant approach me to tear me to pieces. For some reason, I understood. Death! I understood that I was being prepared into a meal for this feast, just like all the other failed players, just as the rules had promised. Servants brought the dish made up of me to the head of the table. Through my hazy figure, I saw 2 red figures. One of them must have been the king, and the other one appeared to be 11. What a shame. This batch couldn't pass the trial. Not a single one of them. None of them were qualified. Is that so? Yes, I watched the trial. I noticed that the girl who I appointed as judge had been rather lax with her role this time. The possible king wrapped her hands around 11's thin neck and squeezed. Which one did my dear first wife choose? Would it be this one? The possible king seemed to tighten her grip. Or that one? Then she finally let go. 11 grasped at her neck, gasping for air now that the hands no longer constricted her airways. The possible king had a servant bring the dish of me closer. I'm afraid I must be impartial and discipline you for your misbehavior, even if you are my wife. However, of course, I am still kind. Therefore, first, let us eat and partake in this feast. The possible king picked up a piece of meat from the dish and raised it to 11's lips, forcing it in her mouth, and she refused to eat. I'm sure you will rather like this one. Putting a hand over 11's mouth until 11 began to chew and swallow, the king seemed to smile. King's an asshole! Crunch, crunch, crunch. They ate my flesh. Crunch. Bad in 4. Failed the second trial. Dun 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 dun. We made it to the feast. Let's sit next to Yanxu. I want to sit closer to the door. Sure, smart move. Finding the 2 seats by the door, we sat down and glanced at the farther end where the king sat. Start the feast. The king clapped her hands once. And the servants began to lay out various dishes atop the long table, placing shared utensils on each dish to let all of the guests serve themselves. The food looked different from what we had had in the dining hall during the time we spent at this mansion. Meat glistened with strange sauce. Vegetables and pastries appeared at a higher level of craftsmanship. The 2 of us picked up some food to eat. Put a piece of the strange meat in my mouth and paused. Crunch. Tasted strange. Oh no. Crunch, crunch. It really tasted strange, a thick, salty, metallic feeling coating my tongue. Oh no. We have eaten. Are we? Yeah. Tempted to spit it out, I looked at Yanxu, who was eating the same thing without any reaction, and swallowed the piece of my mouth, resisting the urge to gag. I picked up my cup and drank water till the flavor left my tongue. I didn't need to eat during the feast. What do you think about the meat? It tastes normal? I don't know if we should eat it. Alright, I trust you. Yanxu put down her fork and wiped her mouth with a provided napkin. Meanwhile, can I ask you whether you want to go back to life and reincarnate? If you pass the next round of the game? Of course, I want to go back to life. I plan to live till at least my 80s, so dying permanently in my mid-20s would be a huge waste of my retirement plans. I still got a lot left to do. What about you? I don't know. Oh. Going back to life would be alright with me. But reincarnating would be alright as well? I'm not sure. Reincarnating would mean drinking Meng Po's soup and wiping away all my memories of this lifetime. I wonder how it works. For example, would it be able to wipe away all the feelings you ever had in this lifetime? It seems sad if so. Why? Isn't it better to not have to feel any of the sadness of your previous life? But then you can't remember any of the happiness either. Even the happiness, I don't think you're supposed to be able to remember where it came from. That really seems so sad. There's nothing left to be sad about. In fact, wouldn't you be happy if you can't remember being happier or sadder? Wouldn't you be happy if you can't remember being happier or sadder? I would say no. Why? Just my gut feeling. I see. Looked carefully at Yanxu, the girl who I grew up with. Talking about forgetting. Found myself wanting to commit every bit of her to my memory. For example, she had pretty eyes, cute nose, soft lips, and these days liked to dye the intersection of her hair. Oh, yeah, we do see that. She was a bit shorter than me and didn't go out in the sun much. At the very least, I'd be sad if I forgot about you. Yanxu was the only Yanxu in this world. Me too. I don't want to forget you. Put my hand on top of hers. Her slender fingers felt chilly, but I would warm her up. Oh, right. I have another point against reincarnating for me. I don't like drinking soup. even if it's magic soup? Wouldn't magic soup be even worse? I can't imagine how it would taste. I don't know. Soup is pretty yummy. Rather than eating, we decided to chat. Luckily, sitting at the far end of the table, no one, not the survivors, not the king, not the servant, bothered to interrupt our conversation. The feast continued for a while longer. And the low bell tolled, signaling the end of our time in this round. Yanxu, you better crack open the good beers this time. Knock, knock. I rapped my knuckles on Yansu's door, not knowing if she would be in that room, which should have been long vacated. I could call out to her, the door opened on its own. I never had any automatic door opening system built into my apartments. That definitely was not supposed to have happened. Yanxu was sitting on the carpet, fiddling with her phone in one hand and holding an open can of beer in the other. As I approached, she set the beer down, making sure not to spill it. Ah. Do you have signal? Yanxu shook her head. I took a seat next to her, careful not to lean against the bed since I was still in outdoor clothes. At least I had magically dried off between getting out of the pond and now. Being toward her, I couldn't help but grin. Cracked open a cold one pretty quickly, if we both got back to our places at the same time. You're the one who always went out drinking for work, coming home late all the time. It really is part of my job. Can't get anywhere without the after-work socializing, although I do wish I got paid a bit more in exchange for all that unpaid time. So Yanxu's in like a direct science-related direct science-related action role here. Wow, Hailu seems like she is in a more salaryman role. Your company's lab really doesn't go out much, huh? She leaned on my chest and shook her head. Oh! Her face looked flushed. A cute pink dusted across her cheeks, her eyes a little watery. This was how she looked when she was drunk. Uh-oh. Wondered how long had passed since the last time we drank together. But right now, I was absolutely sober, not a drop of alcohol in me. Just to really chug that beer. I only drink once in a while when I'm stressed. Not that it matters, since I'm dead. I poked her forehead, eliciting a little yelp from her. Let's get through that last round, then we won't be dead anymore, alright? Mm-hmm. Want to come with me next time I get invited to something fancy? Absolutely no way. I'm so bad with people. Sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. Most people are pretty easy to talk to once you get past greetings. Not so bad once you get the hang of it. She lightly smacked my arm. I really hate it when you say those sorts of things. I can't do it. Just a useless person who can't change, can't grow up, can't talk to people, can't do anything. I can only do things at my own pace. Just can't be normal. Yanxu. Whatever, I'm bad with people. I just hate people. Why can't they all disappear and leave me alone? I'm sorry. Turned her head away from me. She wouldn't look at me, pulling away. For snapping at you. I shook my head. I'm sorry. I apologized. I know that I can be overbearing, if that's the right word. Inconsiderate. I feel like the world should work my way all the time, giving advice that no one asked for. I apologize not just for now, but also for all of the other moments that I should have told her sorry. We sat in silence for a few moments. Do you still remember how we met? Junior high? It was summer, just before summer break. During that exam period when the AC broke halfway through the day. The next best thing was electric fans circulating humid heat. I shouldn't remember what happened over 10 years ago so vividly. I really thought I was going to die from the heat. Finally out from the last exam. What was it even? I just remember struggling to get to the canteen or vending machine or anything for a drink of water, then bumping into you. We didn't know each other at that point, but without hesitation you gave me a bottle of water you were carrying. We chatted about this moment many times before, so the memory had almost certainly been beautiful. To speak of it again in our mid-20s tickled my heart. I was on the basketball team in junior high, so I usually carried extra water bottles with me. At the time I didn't think it would come in handy that I carried extras. Still, it was water. My cool and gallant savior. You know what I remember the most about that time? There was a pretty girl who I met after the exams who got assigned to the same class as me in the class shuffle after summer break. The rest is history. Who's this pretty girl you're talking about? You know her better than anyone else in this world. Don't think that I'm joking about calling you pretty. Really pretty girl who I wanted to become close to from first sight turned out to be my new classmate, Yanxu. Lady Luck loved me, so I didn't even have to ask anyone to switch seats to get assigned to the one next to you on the first day of the term. I would have, if I had to. Aren't those words something you made up when we started dating? It's the truth. Otherwise, what's the point of saying it now? After all, we had already broken up. Now, if I had said that I knew right away that you were kind and clever, well, that would probably have been something I made up, even if it turned out to be true. The red crept up at her ears. Why, thank you, classmate Hailu, for the glowing character recommendation. I aim to please, classmate. Then, Yanxu leaned against me for a moment. Just for a moment. The silence that filled the air was soft, gentle, just like her, reminding me of the past. Yet I couldn't bask in that atmosphere of nostalgia for too long as she distanced herself a little, appearing almost as lonely, even though I was right here. Whatever happens, you have to pass the third round and pass the trial. I'll make sure of it. Despite being the way I am, I can pull through for the moments that count. It's a balance of karma. For every bad thing, there has to be a good thing, or something like that. Pushing the long-forgotten can of beer further away, Yanxu rose to her feet. The karmic balance will be altered if we keep chatting, so... She tugged at my arm, making me follow suit and standing up, started shuffling me toward the door. Huh? Why? Because it makes me too happy. Suddenly I was getting pushed out the door. See you? See you. I stepped out of her room and the door closed softly behind me. That's an interesting thought. The karmic balance makes me too happy. As such, it becomes has a negative impact on my life. Curious. In the case of their relationship, mayhaps there is something very much valid to that, because obviously their friendship and eventual relationship started on that savior aspect. Yanxu being who she was, and still is kind of. She's grown somewhat, but she's still very shy, reserved, closed off, and that's okay. It's horribly lonely being on her own again, but like she said, she's trying to grow she's trying to work on herself. She's growing at her own pace, but it is painfully slow. And she's still not equipped for that. And Hailu, all of her faults, tries to be the overbearing savior. And in doing so, stomps on Yanxu's stomps on her independence somewhat. And just creates that awful codependency scenario. And yeah, Hailu still has a lot to work on if she wants to make this relationship work. I still honestly believe that we've seen signs of Yanxu growing and the strength that she holds within herself. And if Hailu can learn to embrace that, then maybe things can work out. But time to move on. Plot twist before we move on, I floated through empty black space. It was different. Should I be moving on to the next game? The trial start already? Questions rushed through my mind as I prepared myself for a trial of black space. Neither sound nor sight of 11 to keep the rules could be found. Feet finally touched solid ground and a scene blossomed right in front of me. Oh, Mimi sat in front of me, lovely despite the tears that dotted the edge of her eyes. I love you. I love you, Mimi. My heart dropped. My voice, but not my mouth. Not right now, at least. The one that had been haunting me for weeks. I love you, Mimi. I love you so much. How many times did I say those words that day? Never actually said it out loud, did I? Otherwise she wouldn't be making that face. Maybe I did, and perhaps I was just remembering things incorrectly. Lulu. I love you, Mimi, but this can't go on. I'm breaking up with you. The words weighed heavily on me. Not me then. Me right now. I was so certain back then. The fact that Mimi didn't respond, didn't fight back, only made Lulu more confident. She stared sullenly at Lulu, tears on the edge of her eyes growing larger as her lips trembled, completely blindsided by this sudden breakup. You're insecure, clingy, dependent on me for everything. Oh, God. Oh, God. You're supposed to be smart. You can't think for yourself. Mimi still didn't respond, but she gripped the edges of her sleeves so hard her hands were trembling. You can order food, you can't make your own decisions, you can't even put leftovers in the microwave when you're hungry. You don't have a license, do you hate public transport, so I have to drive you everywhere? Maybe to walk through the dishwasher instructions every time. And you whine to me about work in the middle of the day the moment the task isn't obvious. I've got my own job to do, I can't always be helping you out. Enough. It's because she wasn't responding, didn't give you the right to barrage her with these insults. Look at her, Lulu. Mi's bottom lip was white with how hard she was biting onto it. The way she shook was indicative of how much she wanted to let go and sob, yet not a single sob slipped past those lips. Nothing to say? You're right. The Lulu in my memory let out a sigh, disappointed. Perhaps she wanted Mimi to fight back. I'm supposed to be your girlfriend, not your mom. You need to grow up and be yourself. Pink in that apartment didn't deserve to be suffocated. I was letting her remain a child. So I thought such self-righteous things, irritated that she would rely on me when I forced her to, feeling like I was the one who was right, and made the decision to break up with her. Lulu, what the hell? You absolute asshole! Pop, I didn't want to see this anymore. Thank you for acknowledging that. This was the moment that our relationship of many years ended. This was when I hurt her. I clutched my aching heart and held back painful, hot tears that threatened to spill out of my eyes from regret that even if we had broken up, I had been so cruel. A spark of light starred at my feet, tendrils of flame slithering into the flame of this memory. The corner of this memory began to burn, crumbling like paper lit aflame. The glow of orange was a godsend for moving this memory from my mind. The voices in the memory petered out. Not that I remembered what remained to talk about. Perhaps the logistics of wrenching someone out of my life. I kicked the memory, wishing to be in that pitch-black darkness again instead. Huh? Embers from the burning edges flickered and flew in through the air. When did the fire get this high? A chill ran down my spine as I saw the flames grow, their bright red consuming everything. Then the fire rushed toward me. I shut my eyes and braced myself, feeling a deep fear that should have been within my gut. What the? I didn't know that I was so scared of fire. However, the pain never came. Ooh, new third trial? Mimi-specific trial? I came to with a grasp, the yellows and oranges of the fire burning out to a windowless building with stained walls. A door with fogged glass stood before me, with a hum of fluorescent lights. Goal is to reach the rooftop. Evan's voice came from above me once more, magically filling in the whole building despite not a single speaker in sight. Good luck. Seek a way out! Hearing Eleven's ending statement, I realized that I didn't hear anything that she had explained. I missed the rules when I had been daydreaming, if that could be called a daydream. I mentally scolded myself but didn't dwell on it. I had no time to do so. Caught the last part. The goal was to reach the rooftop. If this was anything like the other games, there was likely a time limit attached to it. I had to hurry and find Yanxu. Putting my head around, I realized that there were no contestants nearby. Chances were that we were all placed in random locations again. I decided to spend some time looking for Yanxu. I'd missed the first part of the instructions, but I could trust her to give me the details. Oh, I ran through hallways and opened room doors, but didn't see Yanxu anywhere. Finally, I came to a stop in front of an elevator. I left to find Yanxu, but we're all going to the same place. If I go up, I'm bound to run into her. My mind made up, I pressed the up button on the elevator. The elevator doors opened immediately, as though it had been waiting on this floor. When entering the elevator, I found the only two valid floor buttons on the operations panel. I didn't think they'd use a building with only 2 floors for this trial. Bonk. I grumbled as the doors closed, and the metal box jerked upwards. Ding ding. Monster. Monster, no. I was grinning by the gloomy atmosphere of the second floor. No windows. Hallways extending from both sides with numerous rooms attached to it. As I strolled through the hallways opening doors, I found that some rooms led to more hallways. So this is a maze of hallways. Welcome to the back rooms! I should have known I can't rely on physics in these trials. Based on that theory, I returned to the lobby with the elevator I was in and scratched my nails into the paint of the elevator frame. It saved me the time of checking an elevator that only goes downwards. I turned to the hallway I was in and walked to its end. Dead end. Time to pick another path through one of these doors. What? The quota for the second floor has been met before reaching the first floor time limit. Whoa, no! The first floor is now off limits and ghosts will begin feeding momentarily. Oh, nice for her to repeat the rules. Well, I can't dilly-dally then. I'd better find another elevator or some stairs. Wandering through the hallways blindly, I had no way of telling whether I was going the right way. Was passing this trial going to simply be blind luck? I hope not. Never liked relying on luck. I always planned for my successes. Luck was just a backup. Didn't truly have any chances in this trial. Hallway after hallway, door after door. Then my feet squeezed to a stop at an open door. Delicate yellow eyes widen as they caught mine. Hailu! Yanxu! I stopped myself from hugging her, but I couldn't stop the smile on my face. It's like that, the anxiety that was eating away at my stomach simmered down to nothing. She averted her eyes, but I saw the tiny smile of relief grace her lips as well. I'm relieved to see you. Me too. She was clutching her phone, but placed it in her pocket as soon as she noticed me eyeing it. I was just using it for comfort. Well, I'm here now. I think I'm better comfort. Yes. I already checked this room and hallway. I didn't find any stairs. I shook my head. Nothing this way either. I came up by elevator, so keep an eye out for that. Okay. There's another door in this room. Might as well continue from there. Sounds like a plan. We walked through hallway after hallway, room after room, together. Side by side, shoulders barely touching. I could reach out and grab her hand. I'd give her the comfort that we both needed, but our hands were in her pockets. One lightly thumbing the edges of her phone, and mine were curled into fists. Be mature, Hailu. Broke up because it was better for her. Kindling a flame after dying during a life-or-death game wasn't the right place for it. But still. How difficult would it be just to reach out? To just reach out. Pull out her sleeve and ask for her hand. See, that feels different. Like... that feels to the point of, asking for her hand. Asking for comfort from her versus swooping in and being that overbearing comfort. If anything, that feels more healthy than normal here. That feels like a healthy relationship outcome. Asking her to comfort you. That's open and emotionally honest, I think. Yeah, maybe recklessly speculating in armchair psychology, but Hailu's issues in this relationship that she needs to unpack, we can presume about based on what we learned about her family. Parents dying early on in her life. Grandparents recently passing away in short order. So, there's a good deal of fear of loss, need to cling to clinging to relationships, likely causing that overbearing nature in this relationship that just their personalities combined further encouraged. Just not a good recipe. Hailu needs to unpack that, but this gesture, I feel like would be really good. I've been dwelling on this for far too long, recklessly speculating in armchair psychology, so I'm gonna move on. Was it the same as before? Were her hands all soft skin and manicured nails? Was the shape of her hand still a perfect fit for my own fingers? I mentally scolded myself. Oh! The exclamation startled me, but I was thankful for the distraction. There's an elevator! She hurried to press the button, but I grabbed her wrist and pulled her back. I recognized the mark I left on it. Monsters! Before, the elevator opened its doors immediately. No, this elevator is... An elevator! Man shoved between us and rushed into the elevator. Wait, that elevator is... What do you think about coming in? This is my elevator, not yours. No, that doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Didn't you listen to the rules? No, not really. I don't think any stupid little girls take up the quota for the next floor. Especially not cheaters like you. Cheaters? Pointed an accusing finger at Yanxu, and she shrank against me. I stepped in front of her automatically to shield her. You're the ones with the phone. You've been talking with the mastermind behind these games. Oh, shut up. What? Was she talking about 11? Didn't she talk with everyone? Don't try to play dumb. You're the only one who brought a phone to the afterlife. Behind me, I felt Yanxu bury her head in my jacket. I'm sorry. Not her fault she was given her phone. How does it even give us an advantage? There's no signal here. Bared his teeth in frustration. He knew I hit the nail on the head. What good could a phone do for us in a death game? I don't care, you're not getting on. No, that's not it. The elevator won't bring you to the next floor. Bullshit. Line must be part of your strategy, too, isn't it? What? No, I'm telling the... Okay, goodbye. Have a nice non-existence. I tried to grab the doors, but it was too late. My fingers barely reached the metal where the elevator doors shut closed. The elevator emitted a whirring sound as it descended. Its occupant realized the consequences of his actions. Ah! Good riddance. Yanxu shuddered against me as I turned to cover her ears in a hug. The 7-segment light above the elevator frame changed from 2 to 1, despite wanting to block it out. My ears still focused on the sounds of flesh being torn from bones. In a loop. After a few minutes of silence, Yanxu relaxed against me, and I loosened my hold on her. She continued to shudder against me, and little puffs of her breath against my collarbone told me she was crying. I rubbed her back gently, trying to somehow to provide her with a bit of comfort. Hailu, you're crying. A warm hand reached up to my eyes, delicately wiping the tears from the corners. I'm fine, I said, despite the number of times she had to swipe her soft fingers over the bottom of my eyelashes. Are you alright? Yes. Then, let's get going. Yeah. I took her hand and started leading her through the hallways and doors again. Oh, this feels... Though honestly... I can trust her. Comfort went 2 ways, didn't it? Perhaps it was true that she'd never make it through these trials without me, but it was also true that I'd never make it through these trials without her. There's something about Yanxu that completed me. It wasn't my desire to protect or support her like I originally thought. No, I couldn't be more wrong. She was her own person. She was never suffocated in my arms. I was just too arrogant to realize it, huh? I laughed bitterly at myself. All that wasted time and tears. Is something funny? Just myself. I like it when you tell jokes, but when you're just you, I think you're amazing. Well, I think you're amazing too, Yanxu. You're an incredibly reliable girl. Oh, the blush goes to her ears. That's adorable. We walked silently for several twists and turns where Yanxu tugged at my hand to stop. Hailu. She pointed at a dark spot in the ceiling at the corner we just rounded. Squinting the dim light, I made out the bottom half of a ladder, colored just enough to barely blend into the wall. I completely missed it. A ladder! Reached out to pull the ladder fully down. Good find, Yanxu. Yeah! She smiled at me, a genuine, unafraid one, and my heart skipped a beat. Couldn't stop myself from smiling back. Here, you go first. I reached out to take her hand again, pulling her over to the ladder until I could practically hug her as I held the ladder steady for her to climb. Once Yanxu pulled herself up for the 3rd floor, I followed suit. On the 3rd floor, we found ourselves in a room with 2 doors. Yanxu was already looking around in interest as I joined her. It's like a goo jar. A what? Which one of her historical dramas was this term from? A goo jar. It's a poisonous curse. A poisonous curse. Put poisonous creatures together in a jar and seal it. Then over time they'll eat each other until only one is left. That victor supposedly has the poison equivalent to all the creatures in the jar started with. I crossed my arms and shifted my weight uneasily. trying to get rid of the chill that settled at the end of my spine. Just a fairy tale. Ridiculous fiction. Yet I was here participating in a death game to return to life. That's so creepy. Why would anyone do that? Yanxu shrugged. People used to believe in all sorts of nonsense. The spirit that resulted from the ritual was capable of killing of all kinds of malevolent acts. The type that's popular in dramas these days are the monster child goo worms. And things like heart goo, mind control parasites. Mind control? So it's a popular trope? It's a historical black magic attributed to the Meow people from over a millennium ago. Who knows if it's real or not, though. Just gave much more detail than I expected. So how we like this goo jar? It's not like we're eating each other. No, but the way we seem to be sacrificing one another, I couldn't argue with that. Not with that man's scream still ringing in the back of my head. The argument that it's human nature to turn on each other and try and eat each other alive. Let's not think too much about this. Besides, we'll both win and return to life. Neither of us will become the goo jar spirit. We can do this together. Yes! More wandering through hallways and doors. Began to feel queasy from frustration. At least the interior decorator was nice enough to leave the occasional furniture a bloody stain on the walls of this floor to help determine if we'd walked in a large circle. Just as I was about to verbalize my frustrations in the form of most offensive insults toward the king of the 11 Court's mother. Yeah. I opened a door into a hallway with a map framed behind a glass bulletin board. Huh? It's a map of the next 3 floors. There's even a friendly "You are here" star for easy reference. Yanxu, you still have your phone, right? Take a few pictures and make our way through the next floors quickly. Right. Maybe that man was right. Maybe having a phone was an advantage. No, forget it. That man was dead. Besides, I would use any advantage I could get. Looked over at Yanxu, who was busy taking careful close-ups of the maps. I wanted to see her alive. The maps truly were a godsend. Is Yanxu having your phone? Is that really 11 going easy on us? Found the stairs to the next floor in less than 20 minutes. What's wrong? It's nothing. I slowed to a stop. Yanxu nearly walked past me. It's not nothing, I can tell. Barely spent any time apart. I could see it in the way she shifted her eyes, the slight quirk of her left eyebrow, the way she pulled at her pink hair strands. Don't you think this floor looks different? We are on a different floor. Yes, but it's like the walls are getting darker. I swept my eyes across the room. First floor was already plenty dark with its flickering lights and lack of windows, but it was true. This floor did look darker, like something was growing on the walls, aging them in not a yellow tint, but in muddy tar. I just hurried to the next floor. No more offices? Oh, something's leaking. Since Yanxu pointed it out, I could really see it once we got to the next floor. Not only did the walls feel darker, the edges and frames of doors and objects felt uneven. The 90-degree turn of a hallway was bent, but when we got close, it really realigned itself. Instead, the door 3 feet away looked jagged. It was just making me uneasy. Still, we followed the pictures of the maps in Yanxu's photo gallery. I think we turn here. That's a dead end. I can see the end of the hallway. Oh, give me a sec. Let me see. Just give me the phone without hesitation. I swiped through the maps. It was a good thing she took so many pictures. Mine was blurry when I zoomed in. Oops. Clicked out of the photo viewer back into the gallery. Familiar smiles looked back at me through the grid of the thumbnails. Maybe and Lulu, holding the camera out to take a selfie. I swiped again and found them in a cherished hug in the front of the sunset that a stranger took for them. Next swipe showed a kiss on the cheek in front of the toy store with its newly decorated Halloween windows. My heart leapt to my throat. Bubbly feeling of walking down the street with Mimi as we went shopping on a cozy autumn afternoon. Lulu! Did I really let all that go? Did I really forget all that? About all that? Try to pick the rotten ones and threw away a perfectly good relationship? Lulu. She didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve her. Hailu? I stepped out of my reverie and found Yanxu looking at me with a worried frown. Something wrong? No, sorry, I just clicked the back button. Hold on, let me find the right picture again. Here we are. We just made a wrong turn in the room before. We'll be fine. Okay. Gave her back her phone and she walked ahead of me. I have to make sure she lives. What was the 7th floor? That's it for the maps. Yeah. Whoa! I trailed off at the world tilted and I caught myself on the wall. Hailu! She tried to steady me, but I waved her off. I could pull myself together. I just have a headache. Oh, let's take it slowly then. No, we need to make it to the top floor. Before Yanxu could respond, a buzzer rang and Levin's voice interrupted from above. The quota for the 6th floor has been met before reaching the 5th floor time limit. The 5th floor is now off limits and the ghost will begin feeding momentarily. See, we need to hurry. Don't worry about me. I've survived worse. We walked through door after doors and hallway after hallway on the 7th floor. Our pace truly was much slower without the map. We had to check every room individually. Seconds ticked by. I couldn't prevent anxiety from eating through my brain. How many more floors were there? Would we have enough time to clear the next floors? Reached into the room with a single door. Before I could reach the doorknob, it swung open, narrowly missing my nose. The man was on the other side of the door and I tensed. Oh, sorry about that. Yanxu wilted beside me. The man was carrying a bat, but he didn't seem antagonistic. You don't want to go this way. I just checked every door in the past 5 rooms. The previous room had 2 doors. Okay, I'll take one of them. Disappeared into the previous room. A metal bat. There are probably weapons littered throughout the trial again. At least this guy was non-confrontational. Remembering what Yanxu said about good jars made me a little nervous. Yanxu, what about what you said before? What the fuck? I was knocked off my feet, and the room went sideways as it trembled, and pieces of drywall flew off in every direction. By some miracle, I managed to duck and cover my head in time to avoid the worst of it. What's going on? Footsteps and screaming alternated with the ringing in my ears. My body was heavy as I struggled to push myself up from the ground. It was fire. A fire had started due to the room that just exploded. Ugh! Legs weren't listening to me. I couldn't get them to pick myself up. Oh, she has a fear of fire? My head. Is it from the car accident that her parents died in? Is that from the car accident that her parents died in? Pounding in my head was getting worse. The smoke aggravated the pain like gray knives stabbing through my temple. There's fire. Panic was only secondary in the brain. Part of me was hiding, terrified, screaming. There was fire. There's fire. Get away. Scorching heat everywhere. A sear of freshly burnt flesh. Pain melting from skin to bone. Did she witness her parents dying in the fire? After a car crash? Or... oh... if so, holy fuck. Run, run, don't let any of that touch you. You have to go. choking on more than just smoke. My lungs seized on me. The fear ran deep in my bones, paralyzing me at the spot. My brain kept saying, leave, run. My brain didn't understand. Yes, I had to get away, but my head hurt. My legs wouldn't move like I wanted them to. Lou! Lou! Someone was pulling at my arm, pulling it away from my head. Stop! Stop, it hurt! There's fire! Lou! I forced myself to take a couple steps, swayed in the arms of the other person. Hailu! And finally, the heat was bearable. I could breathe. I collapsed into the arms of the person who pulled me out. Hailu! She shook my shoulders. Yanxu. Bang! Fire. There was fire. Suffocation. Shrapnel. Collapsing foundation. Screams of terror. Hailu! My eyes snapped open. Oh. Yanxu's grip was tight on my shoulders, her arms trembling enough to shake me as she did. Is someone just banging? Is there an actual explosion? Or someone just banging on walls and shit with a bat? That's triggering PTSD? Yanxu, what? There's still debris and the smell of smoke in the air, but we clearly weren't sitting in the center of a firestorm. Damage of whatever had happened didn't reach this far. Pounding heart slowed down. My breathing fell back to a normal pace, and thankfully the ringing in my ears stopped. There was an explosion. Okay, there was a definite explosion. You pulled me out? She nodded, and I pulled myself into a sitting position in front of her. How far did you drag me? It could have been easy to bring both of us to a place of relative safety. An explosion within the building could have easily caused a cave-in and for us to fall to one of the lower floors. She could have easily left me behind to save herself. Instead, she dragged my useless body along with her. Thank you. Familiar buzzing sound ran through the building and made both of us jump. Uh-oh. Oh no! Quota for the 8th floor has been met before reaching the 7th floor time limit. 7th floor is now off limits and the ghost will begin feeding momentarily. 7th floor. 7th floor! Panic shot through my body as I realized the floor we were on. Aren't we on the 7th floor? Yanxu nodded solemnly, her fingers tightening around my arm. She was doing her best to school her expression into something calm, but I didn't miss the way her bottom lip trembled. I opened my mouth to say something reassuring, but my brain didn't catch up with my mouth and no noises came out. Instead, as if on cue, an aggravated gargle sounded for the next room. Shit, we have to go. I struggled to my feet, my head still throbbing. With Yanxu's help, I managed to get up and start down the hallway. Hailu, are you alright? I'm sorry, Yanxu, I promise I'm okay. I really wasn't, but I couldn't let her wait around any longer. She already saved my life, but I couldn't let her lose any more precious time. Let's get going. The apology was at the tip of my tongue, but now wasn't the time. I had time to feel guilty about putting her in this situation. I had time to get her out of it. Second time jump scared by one of you fuckers. All of a sudden he broke down with a crunch. The wood splintering everywhere as a monster crawled its way out. Behind it I could see at least 5 more. As if one wasn't bad enough, there was no way I could fight a pack of them. Run! I grabbed Yanxu's hand and we ran down the hallway. Ah! Surprise! The monster pounced at Yanxu, but I pulled her away just in time. It landed on a table with a decorative vase instead, causing it to split into a million pieces on the floor. Come on! I turned the corner and thankfully found a staircase leading up. Go! Yanxu, I'm right behind you. My stomach lurched and I had turned so fast, the end of my ponytail whipped my cheek. Ah! Monster clutched on the end of her jacket and Yanxu grabbed onto the railing before I could pull her off her feet. Yanxu! She kicked it once, but it wasn't enough to get the monster to let go. My eyes searched the area for a weapon, but the only thing in the stairway with us was the railing that was attached firmly to the walls. No! Yanxu whacked the monster across the face as hard as she could. That did the trick. Oh no, the phone. Oh, the phone. Her phone breaking? The trick. The monster let go just as the remains of her weapon flew across the air onto the landing of the 8th floor. Her phone, screen cracked in the middle, bent in an odd shape, crashed onto the floor and flaked more plastic pieces onto the ground. Her eyes wide and her feet stilled. Yanxu, hurry! There are more monsters behind her! I ran back and pulled her with me past the last step onto the landing. The monster, still growling and drooling at us, stopped at the second to last step. It was as though there was a wall between us. It's okay, we're... Broken. No! Turned to find Yanxu sinking to the ground, the remains of her phone before her. It's in a state of disrepair. The screen flashed a multitude of black and white lights a couple of times before de-energizing, probably forever. Perhaps the battery could be recovered, but a phone that had been slammed that hard into the monster surely had transistors and other components damaged and ripped out of place. Memory in silicone states no longer retained the information that was once stored within it. She picked up the device and hugged it close, eyes staring listlessly at the ground. Yanxu knelt by her side, patting her gently on the back as she trembled occasionally. Mostly she just looked at the ground. Her breathing was steady, but heavy, as though each breath took tremendous effort. Shit, what do I say? Huh. I'm sorry. No, it's okay, don't apologize. Yanxu wiped at her eyes, but the tears still spilled over. With her nose running, she shook more in my arms now. I'm so sorry. It's a stupid phone, I know, yet I'm... It's not stupid. I know that phone's important to you. It was okay to grieve. The smallest things that gave us comfort. It was okay to grieve. As even if it was a useless, negligible part of our lives, we still gave a part of ourselves to it. Yanxu was sobbing now, bawling her eyes out as I held her against me. I ran my fingers along her back, trying my best to give her comfort. Did this comfort her? Was this okay to do? As long as Yanxu didn't move away, I'd do this for her all night. Monsters growling in our ears or not. It held all of our memories. Huh? Everything I had of us. It was all I had left. You said goodbye to me and then I died. It's all I had left. He sobbed into my arms and I began to understand the meaning of that phone. She had loved it dearly when we were alive, so I didn't question why it appeared with her in death. I didn't know the reason why she loved it that much. All you had left of us, huh? I continued to run my hand down her back, cradling her as she cried. Guilt was a bitter taste to swallow. Yanxu, I'll get you a new phone. We'll make more memories together. That got her attention. She pushed herself at me, staring at me with wide, hopeful eyes. Really? Really. When we're alive again, we can make more memories together. Shaken from her stupor, I'm able to help her stand up. We start down a hallway of the 8th floor. One of these again. Managed to get Yanxu to move with me, but she was still quiet, only looking at her feet as we walked. Broken phone remained in her pocket. If it was so easy to cheer people up, I supposed no one in the world would be sad. After walking in silence began to make me uneasy. Yanxu, don't you think that everyone can pass this last trial together? We just saw that we can still make it through an off-limit floor alive. If we help each other, can't we all survive? Like the two of us, I wanted to say, but I held back. I don't think humans are capable of the kindness that requires. True. I narrowed my eyes. It's not really my problem anyways. Yes, the only ones I needed to care about seeing through this game was Yanxu and I. Even just Yanxu. That'd be more than adequate. Crowbars. There's two, so you take one. Yep. Equipped. New bonking stick. I held the crowbar out to her, which she thankfully took after a moment of hesitation. It didn't look right in her delicate hands. She really didn't belong here, but... Come on, Yanxu. We're almost there. Just keep fighting a little longer. Okay. She was still listless. To me that my words earlier weren't enough. Do you doubt me, Yanxu? Huh? About your phone. Don't think about it anymore, okay? So she was still thinking about her phone. What could I say? Oh, well. Nothing. I had to be realistic. There's nothing I could say to make her feel better. I'd best change the subject. Thankfully, I didn't have to think very hard as I rounded a corner and found another flight of stairs leading up to the 9th floor. I hope there aren't many floors after this. Yeah. Come on, just a little. It was... cut off as I spied a black object coming toward my head from the corner of my eye. The object crashed into the wall beside me with a smash. It moved my head back in time for a hammer to swing into the wall where I was standing, and crushed the sheetrock, a round stamp where the tool buried itself. I took a large breath of my air as my brain registered what nearly happened. Ah! Stay back! Got good reflexes, don't you? I stayed in front of Yanxu, glaring at the man before us. He grinned as he pulled his hammer free of the wall. What are you doing? What do you think? Ensuring my win, of course. I saw the 9th floor. It's the roof. The roof? My eyes widened at the realization that we were so close to our goal. Just a few more steps and we'd be done with these games. Or the man that stood between us didn't seem all too friendly. I gritted my teeth. Of course there'd be one final fight before the end. I don't need to outrace anyone if I just kill you all here. Why? I don't understand your logic, dude. It's the roof. You go up to the roof, you win. I did outrace everyone. Hammer swung toward me again, and I swung my crowbar just in time to parry his hit. Stop! He ignored me as he took another swing. He kept swinging and swinging the hammer. I was barely able to keep up parrying against him. Bumped into Yanxu behind me as I took a step back. Ah! Missed footing. Yanxu grabbed onto the railing as she tripped down a couple of steps. Yanxu! I only turned away for a split second. How could I not? I had to make sure she was alright. Ah! Hammer grazed my temple. I lost my footing. Rolled down the stairs and hit my head on the floor tiles, making the world vanish. Ah! My body was light as a scream ripped through the air. Oh god! Must have blacked out for a couple of minutes because I was lying on the 8th floor. Ah! Ah! I had to push myself off the ground as my head throbbed. The world was spinning. My stomach was queasy. Ah! Shut! Something warm near me. Something soft. An arm? Red with blood? No way! My eyes trailed up, following where that blood led. No! No! Yanxu laid on the ground, eyes still open as she stared upwards at her attacker. Her delicate face was littered with bruises, the trails of blood leaking from her nose and mouth. Oh no! How? What? She reached for her hand, squeezed it, and shook her shoulder. She was still warm. Yanxu! She was still warm. She had to be alive. Mimi! Tears that fell off my face were hot. They were hot. Hotter than her hands. Hotter than her face. It would warm her up, right? Right? Mimi! Shut the hell up! Man smashed his hammer against the wall again. Finally looking away from Mimi, I saw a crowbar sticking out of his stomach. Mimi's efforts to protect me had not been in vain. How dare her, that bitch! The man tugged at the crowbar, let out a wretched scream of pain, and dropped the hammer. Bitch, who the hell are you calling a bitch? Who else, that bag of shit in your arms? She stabbed me! Shut up, don't insult her! My hand got onto the crowbar, sticky with hot blood. Ah! Then at a scream as I pulled the crowbar out of him in one fluid motion. It slipped out so easily. Hot blood pooled everywhere as he dropped to his knees and rolled down the stairs right next to Mimi. No, please don't kill me. I'll do anything. Come on, we can win together. We could have done that anyway, you shit. Stopped in front of him and raised the crowbar. Please! I smiled as the realization hit. Your blood is hot. If I give it to Mimi, will that warm her back up? What? What? I'm sorry? He was still warm in my arms. Her head lolled against my shoulder, and I could still find a whiff of her shampoo in the middle of the metallic tang. The limbs bounced as I carried her up the stairs. It was a beautiful night sky, twinkling of a billion stars in superficial pattern, facsimile of the real thing. Disgusting. The dead think that they could toy with the living like this. Mimi. The body in my arms was getting cold. The sight before me was worthless. I kept looking at it, let out a sob. Mimi, the sky is for you. Oh. Walls and pillars seemed to grow out of the ground. Its balconies filled with sticky, sweet voices. Pitiful voices. A familiar woman sat at the decorated seat at the top. The king. Below her, a girl sat in a much less prestigious seat. 11. My arms, a girl no longer warm. Congratulations, contestant. The heat was fading far too quickly. I had to warm her up. The blood didn't work. The tears didn't work. What could I do? Are you ready to accept the final prize? There was one more way. One more place where I could keep Mimi's body warm. Warm forever. Like she was alive. She will be alive. I don't like the... Yes, we would even be together forever. This was the perfect solution. I don't like this. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, no. I held Mimi's head up by the chin. The mouth should be the best place to start. No. It was where all the hot blood came from. I pressed my lips to hers. Okay, that's better than I was expecting. I could feel the gaze of the whole court on us. Pressed my fingers to the corners of her jaw. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, God. I pressed my fingers to the corners of her jaw. The joint was kept her mouth in place till it dislocated with a click. Her tongue was soft, still sticky with all the drying blood. Meg was a delicate girl. I had to make sure she was safe. Oh, yep, here we go. Oh, God. Oh, God. Bit down softly, cutting into the skin as gently as possible. The blood was still warm. Around me, the court started whispering in jealous growls. Too bad they couldn't have her. This was mine. I won it fair and square. The tongue, the cheeks, the eyes, the fingers, the arms, the intestines, the heart. All of it was mine. Jealous growls, voracious slurps, the pole of sinew. Didn't know how long it took. When I was done, all that remained in my gray-blue hands was dried, sticky blood. I saw the puddle at my knees. I knelt down to slurp it all up. All mine, not a drop for anyone else. Growls had become laughter. Had they always been words? Don't laugh. We were all this way. Finally, I felt that I had cleaned my plate enough. We became one of the ghosts. One of the ghost monsters. The floor only had a few remaining streaks of blood, licked clean with my tongue. Lovely, the king of the 11th court, smiled down on me. Eleven watched me with disappointment written across her face. What did she know? I just had the best meal of my life. Congratulations. Final prize is soup. A soup of flesh and blood. Title drop! Oh, fuck. Bad End 5 unlocked. Oh, goddamn. Title drop indeed. Dun 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 dun. We're going to take a brief detour from this to unlock the final bad ending and accept the solution for Yiwen to disappear. Yanxu pulled her hands up into fists, glancing toward me as if expecting me to speak up, but I looked toward Yiwen to see what she would do instead. Yiwen nodded and stepped forward. I didn't think I could say anything. I did not say anything and accepted her choice, King Yanluo's judgment. Two of King Yanluo's soldiers walked up to Yiwen, ready to take her away to her place of punishment. She mouthed goodbye to me and gave me one last smile. Then she was escorted away. To look back at her back disappearing from my sight, I felt as if I had lost something terribly important. And I didn't say anything in the end. Before long, Yanlu and I were sent to wait at Naihe Bridge. Amidst many, many faceless souls, the two of us lined up, without Yiwen, to receive Meng Po's soup in order to forget our mortal lives and be reincarnated. Will you forget me? But we can meet again in the next life. I averted my eyes from Yanxu. What a non-answer. Yanxu tugged on the end of my jacket. When you drink that soup, you'll forget everyone, including 11. Yiwen, who wasn't allowed to reincarnate. Yiwen, who I would never see again. I gritted my teeth and held back the feeling welling up in my tear glands. Do you hate her? For being a part of what sent us through those cruel trials? No! Do you? Yanxu shook her head. I'm grateful to her for helping us. You know, even if you can meet your parents and grandparents again in your next life, you'll never meet her again. I know. By protesting against the King of Hell, we essentially earned our chance to return to our lives. We argued for Yiwen, and Yiwen in turn bartered for our lives. And we all returned to life. Yanxu let go of me for the final time. I see. Then Yanxu stepped out of line for Meng Po's soup. I don't want to drink the soup. It's not that I care that much for her memory. I'm only grateful for her, but I just don't want to drink the soup. So I won't reincarnate. Not yet. I'll just stay here. Oh. Did I really have nothing better to say? Qian Hailu, was this the type of person you really were? What was it that you really wanted to say? No, please reincarnate so I'm not alone. So I realized that I was alone, and that I would be alone. Is there no one you want to remember? The line moved forward. Though she had stepped out of the line, Yanxu still walked by my side until I reached Meng Po. The old woman goddess served me a bowl of soup, telling me to drink the whole thing. I acknowledged that Yanxu was not ready to have the soup to forget. Yanxu idled by the side, choosing to accompany me until I finished drinking the soup and looked away from me. This also rings different, hearing that, Hailu hates drinking soup. Holding the bowl in my hands, I drank the soup. The soup was disgusting. Just before, I knew that I hated soup, and I hated this soup. Tepid liquid rolled down my throat, making me want to gag, but even so, I drank the soup. I wanted to forget because I knew that I would regret not speaking up about King Yanbo's decision and asking for amnesty for Yuan, even more than I did now. This was part of life, part of death, part of reincarnation that I would forget. I drank the soup. Everything was washed away. Everything should have been washed away. Next, I had to enter the light, but not knowing why, I stopped in my tracks. Is there anyone you still want to remember? A stranger spoke to me. Remember? Who was I supposed to remember? Look at the stranger. What a terribly sad expression on her face. The confusion. There was someone who I should remember. I don't know. Meng Po's people ushered me forward to the next step in reincarnation, but I hesitated, looking back at the stranger for a single moment before stepping into the light. For some reason, my heart felt empty. Yep, that's an obvious choice here, but dun 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 dun. It should be. Yep, all of our bad endings. Now, back to business. Go out with me. She didn't trust my words either. I better make them clear. Yanxu, are you worried about what I said? Making new memories. I think I'd go back on our words and drift apart, never making memories again. Well... She looked forlornly at the broken phone in her hand. I faced her. Our eyes met, but she quickly looked away. No, that wouldn't do. Softly, I held my hand up to her face, guiding her back until we locked eyes again. Yanxu, I promise we'll make new and better memories again. When we get out of this alive, will you go out with me again, Yanxu? Huh? She stumbled over her words, taking far too long with an answer. My cheeks heated up. I'm glad that the lighting was dim. Even if she was averting her eyes, the less chance of her seeing my embarrassment, the better. Alright, moving along. Parry sit. Stop! Took him to swing at me. They got a maniacal laugh as he did so. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. I stepped back to dodge and bring down the stairway. No way. The only way to get away from him safely was to remain on the 8th floor? Ugh. The hit, another step back. It kept coming, and it was all I could do to keep up parrying against it. In minutes, we were halfway down the flight of stairs. Was there another way to the 9th floor? At least now the floor of quarters kept shrinking. Probably not. Ah. Oh no! I slipped against the last step and tripped backwards, landing on my butt on the 8th floor. The crowbar flew out of my hands. I got you now! Raised the hammer and covered my head with my arms to brace for the blow, but it never came. A body dropped beside me on the 8th floor. Oh. Yeah! Yanxu stood about 5 steps above me, gripping her metal crowbar so tightly her knuckles were white. Beside me, the man laid face down unconscious, but still taking shallow breaths. Hailu! Standing, I walked up to Yanxu and gently pried the crowbar out of her hands. Fell to the ground with a clatter, rolling step by step until the 8th floor. It's okay. Pulled her into a hug, the tears started bubbling over. He's still alive. Her shoulders sagged with relief, and I spent a couple of minutes patting her back softly. When she finally stopped shaking, she took my hand, and we ascended the last few steps to the 9th floor, the rooftop. A quota for the rooftop has been met before reaching the 8th floor time limit. The 8th floor is now off limits, and Ghost will begin feeding momentarily. Congratulations. Diamond sky stretched endlessly above us. Here's the quota 2. I've never seen a sight like this before. There were no buildings, no light pollution. Nothing in the horizon blocked the Milky Way as it flowed easily above us. Was this sight real? We never saw it when I was alive. Perhaps some things were only privy to the dead. Living had so much already. Oh, this is beautiful. I tore my eyes from the glittering blue hues above us to look at Yanxu. Her eyes were still glued to the sky. Despite her eyelashes still being wet, the smile on her face was genuine. Sky paled against her. Living had so much already. That didn't mean the dead was allowed to keep beauty to itself. Her hand was warm against mine, fingers curled perfectly around each other as we stood there. She watched the sky, but I was too distracted to watch with her. I loved her. I loved her so much. Back my mind, a memory bloomed, repressed so far that it had hurt. Because I loved Yanxu. So it hurt so much when she... It was a crowded day in the mall, perhaps more so than a normal weekend. Maybe it was some holiday. I forgot to look at my calendar. It didn't matter. I worked odd hours and took time off on even stranger days. Sorry I'm late. It's alright. Thanks for being willing to meet with me. Of course, I promised. Just a shopping trip. The girl I broke up with a month ago. Oh, but it couldn't be put off any longer. Yanxu's coworker had requested some specialty products from a store we used to frequent together. Which is why I had the special club card that allowed us into the store. Which is why I had to meet up with her to go shopping. It was okay. After all, it'd been a month. Even if we walked with a meter of space between us, if I kept catching her glancing at me every few minutes, it was okay. Breathed a sigh of relief as we stepped out of the store. Worst was over. Forcing myself to look away, keeping conscious of how close we should walk together. Submerging the urge to reach out and take her hand. I couldn't help hold her hair out of her face anymore. It didn't matter. Her eyes were glued to her phone most of the time anyways. She only looked up when I asked questions to make sure we got what her coworker wanted. I let out another breath of air. Was I the only stupid one? You smelled of the strawberry shampoo I got for us just last month because she wanted to try a new brand. It was a good choice. It was for the best, I kept telling myself. It was for the best. Any other opinion would make me break down in tears. But it was good meeting up with you. Could I take up a bit more of your time? What for? There's just a few more things I want to get from the other stores. It's here with me. Why don't we go together? Squeezing her phone in her hand, thumb absent-mindedly turning it on to pretend to look at the time every 2 seconds. Alright. I was making a mistake. Thank you. Thank you. Relax, it's no big deal. I didn't have any plans for the rest of today. Okay, I just wanted to get a few things from... Her demeanor completely changed. She was suddenly excited. Nervous energy completely gone. I wonder what was going through her mind. Was she planning something? Oh, should you wait for a bit? I need to stop by the bathroom. Yeah, that's fine. It's right there. I'll wait here for you. She nodded and handed me the bags. There's really so many. Oh! Gunshots rang out and people started screaming. Everybody hands up. This is a terrorist attack? I couldn't believe it. This didn't happen in real life. And of course, no one listened to the man with the gun. Everyone started screaming and running away in fear. It wasn't until someone got shot and blood had sprayed all across the floor that the people started kneeling down fearfully with their hands over their heads. Thankfully, it was just one man versus the mob of police officers that arrived. Their hands full, I quickly stood and took charge. Everyone isn't safe. Let's get out where the police takes care of them. Everyone's still dazed and confused. It was easy to simply climb on the railings and point toward the closest exit. Oh boy. Finally, at last, the people in the area had left the building. Far into the mall, people were still being evacuated, but they were far enough that they were practically gawkers rather than hostages. Thank you, miss. You were a great help. I'm just doing my civic duty. Exemplary citizen. Don't worry, the police have this under control. Oh, God. Dead to this government. We will all be judged by the courts of hell. Huh? The world flashed in a hot red. Oh, God, that's how we died. I couldn't hear. All I heard was a high-pitched frequency. Bomb and smoke and dust filled the air. I coughed as I struggled for a breath of fresh air. What happened? What happened? But a flash. What did that terrorist throw? A bomb? Was it a grenade? Screams erupted around me as the world reoriented itself. Pain shot through my right arm and leg. My entire right side burned. White bone and red blood stared back at me where my hand used to be. Oh, God! What? Then a scream at the side of my hand. I screamed until smoke clogged up my throat and I fell to the ground, coughing. Out. I need to get out of there. It hurt so bad. Trying to put any pressure on my right leg hurt so bad. Help! I collapsed back on the ground, blood pooling from my missing hand and from an unknown cut in my leg. Couldn't move. No. It was hot. Too hot. My skin was melting off my fingers. It charred in front of my eyes. I couldn't push myself off the ground. Help! Help! Lulu! Oh no! Yanxu's voice cut through the flames before I saw her running through them, eyes frantically looking for me as her cotton clothing caught on fire. Oh, God! Me, not you! No, not you! I struggled toward her, gasping for air. She crumpled beside me in pain, desperately trying to put out the fire that burnt her sleeves and back. Lulu! She was crying. Why was she crying for me? You idiot, these streaks of tears that rolled down my face weren't from pain anymore. At least not from any physical pain. Watched as Yanxu's skin blistered and bubbled, her lungs gasping for air as the flames closed in on us. Why? Why did it have to be you? Not you. You shouldn't have been here. Ooh! I stepped away with a gasp, almost jumping out of the chair in shock. Instead, the chair rocked underneath me, and I nearly tipped it over and landed on my back. Hailu! My heart rate decelerated to a more acceptable pace as I realized with relief that Yanxu sat in another chair beside me. Now that I was calm, I could take in my surroundings. We were in the same room as when I first arrived. The same chair, I'm sure. The courtroom had been set up. A shadowy figure stood on the balcony of the second floor. A bored woman in red armor stared down at us with distaste on her lips. Below her, at a less decorated table in the center of the room, 11 sat with a small smile on her face. She looked proud of us. Perhaps she was on our side after all. Yanxu? How should I word this? Why did you come into the fire? Yanxu's brows furrowed in confusion. Fire? I was about to elaborate when her eyes widened in understanding. She looked down at her hands, which twiddled nervously now that she couldn't play with her phone. You're asking about when I died? Yeah, I finally remembered. I'm sorry it took so long. You looked... It was reasonable for my brain to attempt to flush that memory down the toilet. You were a good distance away from the blast. You would have lived if you didn't run into the fire. I wasn't thinking. I know, Hailu. I'm stupid and useless. Oh, God. When I saw you there, I just couldn't think. And after I ran in, there was no way out. Yanxu, I'm so... Interrupted by the soft hit of a gavel. I looked forward to find 11 with her hand still on a rectangular wooden slab. Defendants, welcome to the 11th Court. Congratulations on completing the game of life. With these words, the audience on the balcony started to laugh and applaud. I didn't see or hear anything amusing, and thus you have earned the right to a review of your sins and actions. Probably felt like the order was reversed. After the torture of the game of life, it felt like we were already dropped in hell. 11 cleared her throat. I will now review your actions through the past 3 trials. Honestly, it was rather torturous to sit through a summary of our near-death experiences in the past few days. It was an odd emotion to process when I'm already dead. 11 smiled at us. As judge of the 11th Court, I declare Qian Hailu and Chen Yanxu not guilty. Yay! Silence permeated throughout the room. Without Eleven's voice, we could hear a pin drop. Yep, I saw the king looking down at us over her nose. Beside her, a couple of monsters nodded to themselves, almost smiling. Eleven's declaration as they glanced with mocking apathy at their supposed lord. From their seat proximity to the king's throne, I wondered if they were her close officers. The king gritted her teeth but leaned back in her seat without a word. And finally, the quarter monsters roared back to life. On the first floor, monsters started standing from their seats, grumbling insults and protest. How dare! Not guilty. Is she attempting a coup? The coup should be punished if the king is mad, or if the other courts notice us. The 11th court is such a perilous place. What is she thinking? Upsetting the balance with this verdict. Quiet. Who gave you the right to speak? Do you have doubts about my work and research? I slammed her hand against the stack of books at the side of her desk. If so, feel free to check my work. The court was silenced again. So, even vengeful ghosts fear paperwork. Eleven stood with a sweep of her robes and stepped in front of her desk to face us. Congratulations once again. Now what will you choose? Meng Po soup or returning to life? Undo my death. Please? I want to go back to being alive. Eleven shook her head. And you? Yanxu had not answered, and I felt my heart drop as I looked at her. She looked at 11, then down at her hands. So I was the only one who wanted to go back to life. Together again. Yanxu closed her eyes and took a deep breath before turning to look at me. Having been caught staring, I felt the heat rise to my cheeks as I cast my eyes downwards. When I looked at her face again, she was smiling. My face heated up further. Somewhere above, I heard a ghost laugh and whisper about my tomato face. Oh? Her voice was tiny. I didn't hear her, but I felt her words perfectly. Oh, I love you. I wish to undo my death as well. Please, let me return to my life. A pair of fools fit for each other. She scowled, but there was no malice in her words. Evan pointed at something behind us, and we both turned to see what it was. A door had appeared on the far wall, and as I looked back to the front, I realized with mild amusement that it was directly opposite the door to the first game. Go. Get out of here and do not return to the 11th court. With another flip of her robes, she returned to her seat at the table and busied herself with papers once more. I looked at Yanxu once more and offered her my hand as I stood. She smiled up at me and I took it, pulling herself up to walk with me hand in hand toward the exit. The door handle was cool against my palm, but I didn't care. I was too busy looking at Yanxu. The twinkle in her eyes, the bounce of each curl of hair, and the curve of her lips. Even the glow of afternoon sunshine couldn't tear my eyes away from her. Instead, it brightened her features and made her look all the more radiant. Let's go. Yes. We're winning. Opened my eyes to a familiar scene and a familiar backache from sleeping on the couch. My apartment living room was dim in the mid-afternoon light. Lights were off, and the only windows were in the kitchen. There was only a soft streak of golden light that hit the door. I let out a groan as I sat up, doubling over to massage my temples. What happened? The memories of the last few days flashed through my mind in misaligned bursts. Chair, scalpel, forest, teeth. House, key, maze, pipes. Court. Yanxu. Was it all a dream? It was so real. All the hair-raising moments, the near brushes with death. And, well, death itself. I died. Between all that, I had reunited with the person I missed the most. I even made up with her. A weight laid itself on my heart. It was definitely a dream. But part of me still wanted to hold on to some hope that it wasn't. That I truly reconciled with Yanxu. That I was given a second chance after the biggest mistake of my life. I opened the door into Yanxu's old room. But unlike my dream, only blank white walls stared back at me. Disappointment sank itself into my stomach and I took a deep breath. It truly was too much to hope for, wasn't it? Yanxu was gone, taking every last bit of her from this apartment, and I had been the one to force her to do so. Only in my dreams would she come back here. Would I still be dreaming? If Yanxu was no longer here, then this was certainly a nightmare. I should check the front door to confirm the rules of physics. The door opened into a familiar corridor of other doors which led to apartments that mirrored mine. I had never been so disappointed in the lack of a black void. I nearly slammed the door shut as I retreated back into my apartment. Proof was piling up that it really was only a dream. If this really was a dream of Hailu's, that would be so unbelievably cruel. I would respect that. Turning to the couch, I took out my phone and found that it was the same day as my death in my dream. I did a quick search through the news for a terrorist attack on the mall. Finding none, I dropped my phone on the couch. It didn't feel right to use my phone again after being so disconnected from, well, life for so long. Yanxu. I wondered how she was doing. This was all a dream, that she should be alive and well, right? That gave me some relief. If it was just a dream that we reunited after death and reconciled, at least it also meant that there was a dream where she died in such a horrible way. All because of me, too. I might never recover from this. That might be a bit dramatic. I diagnose you with therapy. Should get a drink to clear my head. My thoughts were interrupted by a soft knocking sound at the door. I furrowed my eyebrows. Was I expecting someone today? It was a day off for me. I don't remember making any plans. I'll be right there. I opened the door again, wondering who it could be. Yanxu! The heat rose to my face. I wasn't expecting you. Can I help you with anything? I averted my eyes. It was difficult to look at her all of a sudden. Perhaps it was because I had dreamt about her. Perhaps it was because I was thinking so much about her. Either way, the longer we stood there, the more aware I was of how red my face must be turning. How about you come in and I could make some tea? Hailu, I bought a new phone. She flashed the phone with a smile before placing it in her pocket once more. It didn't look any different from the one I remembered. Oh, do you have a new number? No. But I do have a promise. A promise with who? You. You promised we'll make new and better memories. Huh? We're both alive. So will you go out with me again? Oh, she asked! Oh! Yanxu barely finished her question when I reached out to grab her by the neck, pulling her in for a kiss I had missed for well over a month. Yanxu made a small noise of surprise and she stumbled a couple of steps backwards. And she reached up to wrap her arms around my neck and she was kissing me back. At some point, I pulled her into the apartment and locked the door behind her. This girl in my arms. Yes, of course I will. He smiled at me, bright and warm, as I pulled her in for another kiss. Forever with her wouldn't be enough. I loved her. Yeah! Loved her so much. Yanxu, I love you. I love you too, Hailu. And even death would keep me away from her again. Oh, cute. Oh, that's a cute little ending touch there. Oh, gosh. Oh. I ended the last route with questions of what led to their breakup, how we got here, and we certainly got those answers. It really, the understanding that Hailu had to come to here to make this work. Was that one? She's the one who sabotaged this relationship. Two. Yeah, she's the one who, like, I'm gonna say, in a sense, trying to find the right words to put into effect here. Hailu broke up with Yanxu, like, Partly for the right reasons, but also for the very, very wrong reasons. The wrong way. Yes, their relationship was very codependent and bad, but she took it out on Yanxu in the worst ways. And it was Hailu who was the problem, and not Yanxu. So, in this journey, we came to appreciate Yanxu's own strength, her own strength, beauty, and identity. Outside of being someone for Hailu to protect, which I don't really get into, but I feel like that stems for it has to stem from Hailu's past in some way. So Hailu has a lot of... Where Hailu was right is that she has a lot of past issues to work through to make a relationship work here. Yeah, winning. The girls are winning. And AJ, Yuri forever. Yes. That is beautiful. But gosh, it is in the hopeful sense that like two things need to happen for the second go at a relationship to work here. Hailu needs to realize that she needs to work on herself to really be at a more even level with Hailu, with Yanxu. And Yanxu herself seemed to have grown somewhat herself in all of this, too. She has a, again, they both have a long way to go, but they've taken the right steps. Now just, let's give us some more... Yanxu, Hailu, let's give us some more open, honest communication here. And you're gonna be good. You can make this work. I believe in you too. Bless you. You've got this. Okay, now dev notes. Shino, game couldn't have been made without our awesome team. Thank you for playing. And here's to more Yuri. Here's to more Yuri. Yes, you always present the most. You and your teams always give us the most delightfully, emotionally honest, unsettling, and yet wholesome Yuri, and I'm delighted. Always delighted. Pumpkin Spike! Thank you much for playing our Spooktober 2023 project. Now, pretty please, everyone pray with me for Shino to make the King Rats DLC. Oh no! Oh dear. Would you still love me if I was a snake? AJ? Yuri Forever? Preach? Justin Programmer took a break from GUI this year to focus on cinematography and FX. Is anyone else out there insane enough to rig hair in Renpai? We should really look into live 2D. That makes me want to make a Renpai GUI. I hope you enjoyed some neat effects. Oh, I really did. You had some really neat, really awesome cinematography in this game. Just bits of motion. Obviously, we have the enemies, the angry shadows. But and the little touches with the, like, I keep coming back to Yanxu, just bounding up close, moving and bounding up close. I think I pointed out a few points in past route and this route, but occasionally Yanxu entering the scene, bounding up close to you excitedly, just getting in close, back and forth, little movements and stuff. It's really cool. Aniko Shimoda, background artist. Hello there. Very lovely. Very lovely backgrounds. Pauline, monster artist. Hi there, thank you so much for playing our submission for Spooktober 2023. I'm the team's monster artist, Polly. It's my first time participating in Spooktober with the awesome creatives I got to work with who did a spectacular job bringing this VN to life. Hope you enjoyed it and happy Spooktober. Between you and programming, fucking monsters are delightfully unsettling. Thank you very much. Delightfully unsettling. And fucking monsters jump scaring me. God, amazing. GUI programmer. Howdy, y'all. I had a blast taking Danny's beautiful designs and bringing them to life. It's my 6th successful VN release. Ooh, congrats. 2nd Spooktober. My first game ever was 2022 Spooktober. Ooh. I'm teaching myself how to program ever since shortly before that first released game, and I'm really proud of how far I've come. Every new game is a different new challenge to overcome, and the final prize is super no different. Hope you enjoyed the game as much as we have. I did. That's delightful. CG artist. Been drawing anime for 10 long years now. Oh. Finally, make that dream come true. Obtain soup. Excellent. Love drawing each character and seeing those key scenes come to life. Wonderful animation effects. That is amazing. Happy Slurpee Spooktober. Now go get yourself some lovely, lovely soup, team. You did amazing. That was a... God, that was an amazing ride. And now we unlocked Yanxu's theme. From her memories, I presume. Is it clear? Is it clear? So... ultimately... suppose lingering questions. Were Yanxu and Hailu the only ones plucked out of the 10 court and dropped into the 11th? Because I felt like for that we were the ones who didn't remember our fate. The conversation in the second trial. The conversation in the second trial, we, with the rest of the survivors who were trying to steal Yanxu's phone, are costing us for not remembering how we died, for being given the phone. I feel like not remembering how we died is possibly a response from the response to us being not actually full of sin, although then again, since the 11th court kind of exists outside the normal function of the 10 courts, they have to... it's highly possible they just pluck people from the waiting list for the 10 courts to begin with, so we're all kind of in the same boat, but we were very distinctly outliers from the rest of the crowd in the game of life. And in response, 11 took interest in us and did kind of help us through things here. Like, is she the one who put the riddle up there? She also left the bags, which were supposedly everywhere, but we were the only ones who really found one, so to speak. But most significantly, in the Yanxu's third trial, we have the map. The map, Yanxu keeping her phone, which did create a legitimate advantage here. Perhaps a difference between Yanxu's third trial and Yiwen's third trial. In fact, we could probably point to a specific difference in that structure. Yanxu's third trial was a typical group trial. Yiwen's third trial is on her route, specifically where the king knows that we have taken an interest in her first wife, and is not pleased about that. So the third trial that comes down is specifically made by the king to fuck us up and be difficult for her to interfere with. Hence, when we do survive that, the king steps in and says, "No, fuck you. You die." And then it starts Yiwen's rebellion. And the epic final battle and destruction of the 11th court. God, that's... yeah, 2? That was... Once again, the girls are winning. Once again, the girls are winning. We have obtained soup. Well, I'll be perfectly honest, we have not obtained soup. The final bad endings of each route are the points where we actually obtain soup. The good endings we obtain something better than soup: love and life and happiness. Be proud of that. We lived. This has been the final prize is soup. Go enjoy some soup with your loved ones. And take care of yourselves. Just don't combine those two pursuits. Do not combine your loved ones with soup directly. That is not good for the... That's not... Do not make them soup. Do not eat the strained soup. Don't do it.